Had some guys moving throughout the game in case we had too much traffic. Wasn't worried about the pitch count for Griffin, was more worried about a long inning. If you've thrown that many pitches and then something kind of gets away from you a little bit, having a 30 or 40 pitch inning wouldn't be okay at that point. But his stuff was ticking up. He's a horse. We feel really confident about how Griffin has been built up. There was probably 3 or 4 instances throughout the regular season that Griff was pissed at me for coming to get him after 75 pitches. But I think in the larger, bigger scheme of this thing, he's been taken care of and built up correctly so he can go have 130 pitch performances. So tonight it looked like he could have thrown 150 pitches, and I'm glad I didn't have that decision to make.
Other questions? They're in the front first, then over there. Go ahead.
Coach, if you can just touch on the offense today, being able to see a ton of pitches early and get into that Cincinnati bullpen within the first handful of innings, what role did that play before the offense was able to put up a handful of crooked numbers?
Played a huge role. We just hadn't had quality at bats for the last 2 weeks. It felt like we had pressed and we had pushed and we had pressed, and there was a Big 12 regular season title on the line. And no matter what you say and how you're prepared, when these kids pour this much into being great, they do feel that. And so I felt over the course of the last few weeks, maybe the guys were pressing for hits or trying to have success for the program. That's all they want, man. These guys go to work every day to do something special for our state, community, and university. And so like you said, the more pitches that you see, the game starts to slow down. They're seeing the ball out of the hand. They're not moving the bat as much. And the at-bats just got grittier and grittier throughout the game. I thought one of the biggest turning points, so we have a dude that leads the Big 12 in doubles, and Jace Reinhardt. He swings and misses, and he wasn't seeing the ball that well today, but he swung and missed and struck out, and the ball went to the backstop, and he hauled ass down the first base line and beat it out. And so like that mentality of a guy that's been so good for so long, leads the Big 12 in doubles, to not jog down the line, kind of personifies what we're trying to do and what this team's capable of. If he's able to sprint down the line after striking out with a great at-bat, then anybody can. And from that point forward, I felt like the at-bats got better and better and better.
Coach, obviously kind of a really tremendous regular season overall, but a little bit of a stumble at the end. What was the messaging to kind of flip the script here in Arlington?
I don't think anything I say at this point is going to change how these guys play or perform. It's their team. It's been their team for a long time. They've taken ownership of this team. Guys like these to my left and right, these guys will dictate how far this team goes. I'm going to try to put them in positions to be successful. That's my job at this point. But there's no rah-rah speeches. There's nothing that I can say or do at this point. But I do think, before we came here, we did remind the guys that there's certainly some doubters. So we just won a Big 12 title, and we tied the most wins in program history, and there's still a lot of doubters of what that was. And so you have a choice. You can either play with a chip on your shoulder, you can use that for fuel, or you can ignore it. Those are the options. I have my preference. Griff probably has his preference. Kyle West has his preference. But everybody in that locker room knows how special this team is and what we've accomplished. I think the most important thing you hit on, stumbled at the end. Well, this is the beginning. And so we don't really want to look at it like the end, because if you think it's the end, then it's the end. And so we talked about something new, a rebirth, getting to go start a new season basically today.
Coach, talk about your 7, 8, 9 hitters had 4 hits and drove in like 5 hits and 4 runs. How about the production at the bottom of your lineup for you?
Yeah, that was awesome. They had 5 hits. Gavin Kelly, 2 for 4. Grant Hussey, 2 for 3. Brody Kresser, 1 for 2 with 2 sac flies. Those guys are ultra competitive. Kresser was our leadoff hitter for half the year. Hussey's got the most homers in program history hitting in the A-hole, and Gavin Kelly's all Big 12 freshman of the year and one of the best athletes, freshmen in the country. So to have those guys 7, 8, 9, you feel good. We haven't performed at that level. We haven't performed at an elite level offensively, but today was sure damn a good start. 8 hits, 10 walks, limited amount of strikeouts. Those guys are ultra talented, so as they evolve and they get more comfortable and you get a win under your belt, that can't hurt. I really have high aspirations for those kids continuing to have success.
Other questions? Right here, and then we'll go back over here. And then in the back.
Coach, couple of questions. Winning 41 games and setting the program record, what does that mean? And then your thoughts on playing Arizona tomorrow?
It means a lot because I've been here for 10 years. And so this wasn't the case. This wasn't the standard. This wasn't the expectation for about 10 years. When I first got here in 2016, we hadn't been to a regional in 20 years. So to go from not making a regional in 20 years to not potentially, to making 3 regionals in a row and having first rounders and playing in supers and setting program records, that's an exciting thing. And it's something that a lot of people have worked really hard for a long time. So the fans, the players, the alumni, Coach Mazey, our staff, these guys have been at it for so long, outworking so many individuals to make this happen. West Virginia is a small rural state with 1.8 million people in it. There's more people in this city than there are in our state. And so there ain't 5-star recruits falling off trees in West Virginia. You have to recruit really tough kids. You have to develop. You have to get them better. And you have to set a standard that nobody wavers on. And so over a decade, that's why we're here. We didn't have a good team and some good kids. We had a lot of people work for a straight decade to be in this position. Tomorrow, excited about Arizona. We played them in a nasty series. We lost 2 of 3, and we played a 16-inning game that we had, I think, 6 different opportunities, a man on third, less than 2 outs, to walk them off to win the series. And they're a really talented team with a great pitching staff. And when we played them, it was a back and forth, really, really good series.
Coach, you talked about managing Griffin throughout the season, maybe pull him at 75. You let him go nearly 130 today. Think back at Chapel Hill last year when you were, of course, on staff, and we see another 130-pitch performance. With so much investment in biomechanics, what does the future of that look like at West Virginia, both offensively and on the mound?
I'm thrilled about it. We just finished a $5 million biomechanics and performance center. It's essentially a state-of-the-art baseball lab that's going to focus on human movement. And one of the big things that just happened inside of our program is that we hired a doctor, and she previously was the head biomechanist for Tread Athletics, which is one of the biggest biomechanics and pitcher development labs in the country. It's a private company. And she wanted to come over and work for us. And Dr. Courtney is incredible. She starts in August, and we do think that by using the force plates, by using markerless motion capture, the TrackMan data, and being able to use all these different resources that we now have, thanks to generous donations from Ken Kendrick and other people to make this happen, we do think that we can take the next step here. And so development has always been the priority at West Virginia. That's been the separator for us. It hasn't been out recruit and numbers. It's been development of these players. And so we do think the next step is a focus on the biomechanics. You know, it's not that long ago people thought that understanding analytics and spin rates and pitch shapes, that was the future. And so this is essentially just the next step. We're understanding what the body is doing. And so that's the next layer of this development piece in baseball. And a lot of pro teams are already doing that at a pretty high level.
A few more in the back.
Kyle, at the moment of contact, what's your thought? What's going through your mind? And then does it sink in yet? Hey, I had a pretty legitimate home run on a major league field.
At the point of contact, I kind of knew it was gone, obviously, but it was more about feeling a weight lifted off our shoulders as a team. Like, I'm not saying that I carry anybody by any means, but it's like a moment of relief. Like, we're down, and that ties us up, and it's like, hey, it's not over yet. So I think as a whole team, it's just setting the tone. Like, we're a relentless offense, and that just got a 5-run inning started. So I think it's more of the team thing than a selfish thing.
In the back.
He stole my question. But I guess just going off of that, so after you're back in the dugout, you just see now runs just piling in. What's that like for you?
It's super encouraging to know that we had an approach set in, and it's different for every pitcher, but I think we as a team stuck to that approach per pitcher the whole game. And at the end of the game, we're grinding out at bats, we're bunting guys over, we're hitting doubles, and when that happens, I think it's a very dangerous game for the other team.
One more, anybody?
Actually, sorry, one more follow-up. So did you guys have a sense of, Mountaineers are back, you were in that little slump, and now you guys finally back in the win column? Was there just like, all right, we are back to Mountaineer baseball? Kyle, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think the last 2 weeks were obviously not what we wanted. We lost 2 series. We had time to regroup, think about what had happened the past 2 weeks, reflect on it for positive. When you start looking into the negative, you get so deep down a rabbit hole and you try and fix everything. But at the surface, we're an elite level baseball team, so try and regroup, recuperate on what we do well, and take that into this weekend. And I think we showed tonight what we did all season. So I think it's a great start, and looking forward, I think we're in a great position.
Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.